everyone in the States and around the world who is having Valentine's Day today. We had ours yesterday. So I just want to wish you all happy Valentine's Day just before we start the show, just to set the proceedings on the way. So today's show, we're talking about embodying your higher self and what that means, and what benefits there are to embodying your higher self and what it can do for your life. So we're going to share some insights, and who knows what may come up. And of course, I'd love to welcome my wonderful friend and co-host, Anaya Joy Halili. Welcome, Anaya.
Hi, Beth. Hi, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. And I hope you remember that the greatest love of all is the love you'll have with yourself through your higher self, your creator's love. It's amazing. So that's my wish for you today. Thanks to Beth.
It is, yeah, definitely. And it is the greatest love that we have for ourselves. And I think that's the emphasis that we need. People think it's possibly it's another partner or your children or your family or whatever, but it is ultimately, in the end, it's ourselves. We come in with this and we go out with it. So the more you have, it just enhances your life in so many ways. You know, we're here on planet Earth experiencing all the different aspects and, you know, living our lives in all sorts of ways and challenges and so forth. And ultimately, we are spiritual beings having this experience, and we're here ultimately to master this reality and get off the karmic wheel of death and rebirths. We don't have to come back. Some beautiful beings do come back, but eventually, and however long that will take, we don't need to come back. So there has to be steps in that way to lead to that. So learning to recognize and embody your higher self is an amazing step to take you there. And the benefits, as we've said, on so many levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, and of course spiritually, endless. I had to write down all of the benefits. There were so many there. I couldn't remember them all. So I'm sure you've got some ideas about that as well, Anaya.
Absolutely. You know, the benefits are so incredible. And for me, one of the greatest benefits, learning how to love myself. And I have to give a shout out to the angels, honestly, because it was through their loving guidance and their wisdom and their coaching, really, over the years that has helped me to really understand what that means and to really embody that for myself. And it's a practice. It took me a lot of practice because I used to be so hard on myself. Beth, you've known me for a long time. And I've come through many periods of my life where I actually had self-loathing. And, you know, that's a really lonely place to be. So it's the courage. It's the courage to take the journey.
Yes, it is courage, yeah. And when you do connect, it's like the feeling of that. You feel this, it's the most beautiful feeling. The love that is there is so great, so unconditional, that you go, why do I keep doing this to myself? I've had the same thing, didn't like myself, didn't value myself enough and think that I was worthy or deserving. So the more you touch this higher all-knowing aspect, this love that's so great, that starts to heal, doesn't it? I'm sure you've found that in your life. And
Absolutely.
things then sort of flow out from that in other areas of your life, and particularly relationships. That is a huge... Relationship is everything, really. We're in relationship to the table or to the chair or to other people or the planet. Everything is about relationship when you break it all down. So that, and of course the relationship with ourselves. So it's got to start there and flow outwards. So yes, it will enhance your relationships as well. Again, there are so many things, and people get it in different ways. Maybe you'll start to recognize the higher self trying to talk to you, that like it tries to send you impressions. Sometimes we may not listen, but it does send impressions, and it can be symbolic as well. Have you ever had symbols come to you, Anaya, at all?
All the time. Just last night I had this, I actually had a nightmare the first time in so long, and I woke up and it was awful. And then I asked myself, what was it telling me? What was the truth about it? And I got it, boom, straight off. So that was wonderful, because then I could then go on that journey to say to myself, okay, this is a journey of learning for me. And the feelings that because a nightmare dreams for me anyway are absolutely vivid. This dream is giving me opportunities to advance my growth and release what the underlying fear is. So it's all the time.
Yeah.
These symbols come through in so many unexpected ways.
Yes, they can. And they can even be like that sort of symbol, or even sort of drawn symbols in some ways. They can be that. But definitely your dreams are going to be more enhanced and more vivid when you start connecting. If you tend to remember your dreams more, the more you're connected, which is great. So that's another benefit, because throughout my life, I've gotten so many, or experienced so many things through my dreams. Like you, they're vivid, they're color. You don't have to dream in color, but not everyone does, and that's fine too. But it's the feeling of the dream is the most important, and what it means to you. And dream interpretation is good for that. But to learn to understand your own dreams is important. Ultimately, everything is about heart opening. The greater we can open our hearts more and more and more, and this takes you to the higher levels. This then connects you to your soul, because the higher self and soul are actually slightly different. The higher self the soul sends messages to the higher self to get you to work through that. So it goes higher and higher and higher. So opening the heart is the most important thing. And when we look at all our probably challenges, there is always about heart opening in the end, down to the very core of it. So again, you'll receive all different messages. Now, you'll start, if you've ever noticed, you're starting to be aware of your thoughts. If you're being negative or positive in things, and the words you're using, or you'll go to say something, and or you'll go to comment even. It's not even about judging. It's about this other thought will come in, this higher truth will come in. That's a sign that your higher self is starting to talk to you and getting you to see a higher truth. There's no definite truth, but your higher self will give you insights into a situation or a thought or feeling or so forth. Yeah. Your creativity will open up in however that will be for you. Of course, we're all different in our creativity, but you'll have ideas or things will flow. So that's another good point. And of course, you tend to let go of situations and people that are no longer there for your highest good. That's a big one. And I know that happens a lot with people. A lot of people have been talking about that recently. It's a constant thing, but I think there seems to be a surge in that. I don't know if you've noticed that yourself, Renee.
Absolutely. We might just do a little bit of housekeeping to Beth.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I'm being your Carol Ann today, because when I think of Carol Ann reminds me.
Yes, housekeeping. Angel Heart Radio is certainly not here to replace any legal or medical advice at all. We always suggest that you do that. We're not here to take away your power about telling you what to do. We're encouraging you to be in your own power, to empower yourself with your own thoughts, intuition, and feelings. So certainly not to tell you what to do. So please always trust the inner self, or go and see someone who can help you.
Well done, Beth. Well done. Can I just welcome Anne and Shirley and anyone else watching who I've missed as the I was going to call them the credits, as the comments are rolling by. If you'd like to ask a question, make a comment, maybe share something that's happening in your world, simply by putting your comments in the comments section on the live stream, on the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page means we can see them in real time, and you can become a part of this program. And we absolutely love that, to Beth, don't we? It really expands and opens up the program so that it is a community. It's not just about us sitting here sharing our thoughts and feelings and experiences. This is a community. Angel Heart Radio is a community, and it's your community. We want to share with you. So yes, I do. Hello, Kerry. Welcome. Good to have you with us. I have had that experience myself where, and sometimes it's not easy because sometimes it's a relationship you don't want to let go of.
Yeah.
And yet, the more I tried to hold on, the more I could see that it was so toxic for me. And the act of holding on was making it really toxic. I mean, this is not a judgment on the other person, right?
No.
But when it's time to let go, it is when events occur, things happen, and you know it's time to step out of a relationship. I think one of the big messages here, it's not about stepping out of anger. Well, you did this, so I'm out. And sometimes, let's face it, it really feels like that. We can step out of a relationship and still create a rainbow bridge of love from our hearts to theirs and send love. I ended a relationship. Well, I didn't really end the relationship. In the end, I had to. I tried for a couple of years to keep this relationship alive somehow. And the other person just wasn't interested. And here I was. It was, that way that sometimes we can't let go. But when I finally got it to Beth and realized that I could still love this person, the fact that in truth, I didn't want them in my life anymore because it was no longer healthy at all. And if I'm going to ascend and evolve and love myself, it's about choosing loving, respectful relationships at all times. So it's not about being angry with the person that we might be, and we can heal that. It's about making a choice for us that's right for us, and do it in love for us and still send love to the other person. I think that's very healing.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I've experienced the same thing, and it's not even big sort of things happening. It's just like it's a drifting away in that sense. And there isn't that, or there's an awkwardness, or it's just not gelling, or it's not flowing as well. So it's just everyone has a different path to go on, and nothing is permanent. As the Buddhists say, there is nothing permanent in this world. So relationships, whether that's an intimate relationship as well. So there needs to be no blame. It's just different. We're just going in different directions. So yeah, that is a big thing. And that certainly, with everything that's accelerated at the moment, this will be happening, even more with a lot of people. And certainly I've experienced that myself. And we do hang on because it's not bad or it's not terrible, but it's like you've got learning to let go. Definitely. Yeah. I understand what you mean. So there was one point I was going to bring to that. Now I've forgotten. Where are you?
It'll come back.
I had it written. I just thought of it. Sometimes my brain, it just goes like
there's a lot that goes into live streaming, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, something will come up, but I always just know that eventually it'll come back. Sometimes it's about
the relation. Well, yes, nearly got it. Came back then. But yeah, it's recognizing. It's one of the things about the higher self, and it's learning to take self responsibility. In the past, we may want to blame. It's really being responsible for what's going on in your life and making the choices, and whether you want to see things or not, and let go and look within, look back at what you're creating. That is a big part, I feel, of being really bonded and connected with your higher self, and listening, because there is no right or wrong in that sense. There is no one truth of a situation. It takes two people to create something, or just be in it anyway. Let's put it that way. So yeah, that is something I think in society it's easy to blame,
Mm.
and now we have to start taking that back. Probably that's one of the first things I think in that sense of really stepping up your greater awareness. I mean, you have greater awareness when you really connect with your higher self. You just can't, and you wouldn't go back, would you? You just would not go back. Some things you may not want to be aware of, because you have to learn not to take things personally, but you would never go back, no matter what. I'm sure you're the same. I would never go back
No,
with what
I
I've
wouldn't go
learned
back. No, I
through
wouldn't go
this
back.
process. You can't. You
No, and
can't.
it's because we become fundamentally changed within ourselves. And it's like, I kind of liken it to, and this is what the angels are showing me right now. If everyone has seen a flower bud, right? That little bud, and it's all closed up, and bit petal by petal, it just starts to open, right?
Yes, yes.
And that is part of the process and the beauty and the joy. And equally, eventually, I mean, as with some plants like orchids, for example, they can last for months and months. In fact, I've got one on my desk here that was flowering for about 4 months. Eventually, just one day, those petals begin to wither. And to me, that's equally as beautiful, because it's part of the natural cycle for that plant. And then when they drop off, they're delicate and fragile. And I always leave them there for probably around a week, because they go through a whole new process. They become papery and delicate and beautiful in their own right before I put them out into the garden. So, and we're the same. We have a process. We have stages of growth and development, and relationships, just like those petals, will sometimes fall away. And that can be relationships with ourselves, relationships to all sorts of addictions or behaviors or thoughts. It's not always about the other person. It's always, always, always about us.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, because we're here, we're in it. We can't not be.
Create it.
Yeah, just as
Co-create
much as the
everything.
other person.
Yep.
Exactly. And that brings me to actually one other point is, when you're connecting more, it's okay to be, you're quite happy to be by yourself at times. You're actually becoming more whole in your own company. The goal is to become whole, and that's your masculine feminine balance, that they're integrated. And in some ways you actually don't need even a partner. I'm not saying you don't have to have one or wouldn't want one, but you're more whole as a being, and actually better to go in, better equipped to go into a relationship that's not based on, assumptions, or, your own neediness or whatever. It's more balanced. So that in itself is a massive thing in terms of any sort of relationship, but particularly an intimate relationship, because you are better balanced, because you're supporting who you are, the true who you are. Another thing is, you tend to follow your path more, and your you start to really look at what your purpose is. So that is your focus in life. It's not just having a relationship or just having all these, material things as well to fill up an empty space. That other part of you balances that. So it creates a lot of beauty in the world, I feel. There is that lot of beauty. Yes. So I don't know if you're seeing someone in the chat room. It's questions. We would love questions.
Questions.
I meant to say before, questions are wonderful, because when I'm talking, if someone asks a question, that takes me to another. Even when I'm doing readings, someone asks me a question, that will open up a gateway to something else that's relevant for the situation. So yeah, we love questions, please.
We do.
It's wonderful.
And questions, your question, I can guarantee you, your question, and we often get things said like, this might be a silly question.
No, no.
There are no silly questions, and your question will be a reflection of other people's questions who may not be listening right now. They may be listening in the podcast, and welcome to all our podcast listeners.
Yes.
We've got Belinda with us. Belinda Brown, welcome, Belle. Always good to have
Hey.
your gorgeous self. So those questions open up, as Beth said. It's like opening doors to rooms
Yes.
that are waiting to be discovered.
Yes.
So questions are beautiful. Comments are fantastic. And as Belle said, no questions, just a hello, beautiful ladies. So that's gorgeous as well. Thanks, Belle.
Thank you. Oh, that's good. Yes. Now, another thing, which is, well, there's a couple of more things. Connecting to your higher self will also help your physical life and your own understanding of what to do for your own healing of your physical body. It will start to work on aligning, bringing into harmony your physical being as well. So think of that, because you'll naturally want to feel, to do something to bring yourself into a better alignment, because the body is such an amazing, incredible thing. We just have to allow the healing to occur and give it the right circumstances, or the right emotional and mental emotional atmosphere, you could say, to do that. It will do it for you, because the question is, it always amazes me, and Greg Braden goes into this, our cells, billions of our cells are replaced every second. So why do we die? We don't need to. And the more, it doesn't make sense why we do. So there's something being processed in our DNA somewhere, because literally we don't have to, but for now we do. So you're talking to your DNA more when you're connecting to your higher self. So think about that. And you can send those messages through your higher self to your body. Talk to your body. It has consciousness. It will respond.
Absolutely, because we often think of these aspects as being separate from us somehow, to Beth, don't we? We're quite conditioned to see ourselves as an island, where everything happens to us, where we're kind of adrift and we don't really have a lot of control, in inverted commas. And by control, I mean choice. Oh, this happened to me, that happened to me. Did you hear about poor such and such? These types of experiences are changing very rapidly now, aren't they? We're beginning to really more and more become consciously aware of the power of the words we use. So, for example, if something occurs, it may be, this happened to me, isn't it terrible, right? We can actually transmit that in a completely different way, which then speaks to our experience, our cellular level, our DNA, our lives, in a very different experience. So it may be, this has occurred in my life. I'm currently asking for the answers. I am exploring what it means for me in truth.
Yes.
It opens up. Like the
Definitely.
dream last night. Why did I have that awful dream? Well, I know very well why now, because I asked the question, what was the dream speaking to me about? What was really underneath all those awful images? And I thought, oh God, I'll never get back to sleep after that. And of course, once I went through that little process, I did, and then I slept beautifully and soundly.
Yeah. It is interesting. And another point, when we say I am, we're talking about the I am self. So sort of being more aware of what we're voicing. I am tired. I am, all the negative stuff. Just be aware you're affirming that more clearly when you're saying I am. So you really want to be aware of that and change that and put the positive in when you want to assert I am, I'm abundant, I'm healthy, I'm loved. I am love. It's like remembering that is such a powerful statement to say to yourself, and remember to say that, and remember not to affirm the negative with it. If you can remember, more you're aware of it, you may stop yourself. You go, oh, cancel that, cancel, clear, delete, because you don't want to be putting that out to the universe. You'll get that coming back in. So, or reaffirming the negative. So definitely remember stating the I am in a positive way to anchor the higher self aspects in there. Can I just read out like some of the aspects of the higher self? It's like I used to focus on okay, I'll start reading. There's compassion, there's love, there's peace and wisdom and joy and harmony and trust, integrity, honesty, respect, freedom, creativity, light, will, dignity and grace, health and forgiveness is a big one, tranquility, serenity, abundance, acceptance, appreciation and gratitude. I used to focus on those in a meditation, that I am those, to help me connect with those aspects, to bring it in, to connect in that way. You can do it in all sorts of ways, but that's just something I did to help me live this way, live with those things that I am. So, that's another way. There's many ways to connect, but there's certainly living those aspects takes you higher. We're trying to live in a higher way, and seeing things from a higher perspective as well, creates a life of more harmony. There is one thing, no one can stay in perfect balance all the time. That's not how nature is. Actually, chaos is seemingly part of the balance, because we are in balance, then we go out, then we come back in. We have to go out to learn whatever we need to learn, and often we feel out of balance when something happens. But the more we focus and understand, we stay in that space less time, then come back in and be in our more centered and balanced state. But there's nothing, it's not a bad thing sometimes. Like a crisis of faith is not a bad thing. And it may seem chaotic or whatever, but it's actually, there's a higher purpose to that. So you're just not blindly following what you've always believed and never questioned anything. And I feel last year was certainly that. Most definitely. So look at it in those terms. Look at everything from a higher perspective. What those higher beings in spirit and the universe, how they would view our lives and what happens in that, how we go about our life. There always is a purpose.
Amen
Definitely.
to that.
Yeah. Can't always see it. And trust is a big thing.
That's right. That's where the courageous act of trust and faith comes in. Now, that all sounds so lovely, doesn't it? Oh, I'm just going to trust. We don't necessarily trust. For me anyway, it's been a learning process. It's been a willingness to proceed as if, and to step out of conversations and you can feel it in your own self when conversations or whatever it is that you're engaged in makes you feel heavier in your spirit, heavier in your energy. It's the willingness to disengage. And then from there, for me, it became the willingness to not engage in the first place. And this has led me to experience realms of peace I always dreamed of, but never really believed were possible for me. So it's the personal journey. I think it's so important that we remember that your journey is going to be different to mine, different to Tibet's. You may be in an absolute funk at the moment. And as Tibet said, there's purpose in that. There's something.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Tibet.
I was just going to say, sorry. I've been in some very dark places in my life at different times. The thing is to keep going, and it is so worth every minute for when you really start to connect the love and the joy and the peace that you actually do feel. If I can do it, if the name can do it, anyone, you can do it as well. It's just a willingness and a persistence and a determination that you will eventually get through this. It doesn't make everything perfect, but it's this inner sanctum that you can go to, and we all need that. That you can go to is the most incredible place that you have to feel it. We can't tell you, can't explain it to you. Everyone will feel it differently, but it's beyond words. Once you get there, once you feel that and learn to go even higher, and it's through your heart, absolutely through your heart. That's the gateway, your heart, and then your higher heart centers that will get you there. That's why the world needs so much love. And it's like loving yourselves so much, because that all adds up. We're all connected, and we're here to learn that as well through the higher self and then the soul, and then on to the higher levels. We all are connected. We just feel separate. So going to the higher self and bonding will help alleviate and help lessen that. And and the feelings of alone. And you'll probably your psychic abilities and your intuition, your even telepathic abilities will start to heighten. You may even be able to open up to past loved ones who have passed over. Not everyone has to do that, but it's possible. If you're open to it, it's possible. Anything. We all have the same abilities. We're all born the same. We just, we've all got different journeys in life, but we all are born with the same capabilities if we wish. That's the message.
And do you find, Tibet, that some, like with my mum, for example, I actually began to understand for mum that I never could understand why she couldn't overcome certain things in her life. I kept feeling like, well, you've got every chance, just like I have. I was in a lot of judgment with mum. And then over the years, especially in the last few years of her life, I began to realize that her journey was none of my business. My business was, my choice, was I going to love my mum as she was, set clear boundaries for myself or not? That was the only question in the end I had to ask myself. And once I began to do that, and oh God, it was really difficult, I've got to tell you, because I was so triggered about so many, welcome, Louise, welcome.
Hey.
I was so triggered with my mum, as most of us are with our parents. And I felt so overly responsible for mum. So here's the deal, right? So it wasn't mum, wasn't what mum was doing. It was my response to what she was doing, because I was coming through a filter of over responsibility and judgment. That took me a really long time to begin to understand what that meant for me. So by toward the end of mum's life, instead of me sitting on the phone rolling my eyes, I don't know if you've ever done that, rolling my eyes at something mum was saying, which is a judgment, of course, I began to be able to say to mum things like, Mum, I can feel you're not having a good day today. I can feel that in you. And our conversation's starting to sort of go to a place where I think we could end up in an argument. So I'm just going to tell you I love you. I care about you. I'm here for you if you need me. Pick up the phone and I'll give you a bell tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that was how I ended up doing it. And it really shifted the poles of our relationship. So they were very close together. Well, I was sort of caught between these two poles: judgment, anger, recrimination, blame, big blow up. So it all began to open up to Beth. And it came back to self-responsibility and coming from my heart for my mum, no matter where she was. And thank you, God. Thank you for helping me with that, because now that she's not here on the planet with me anymore, I'm not carrying the weight of all of that regret.
Yes, I mean, I lost, my dad, God, nearly 40 years ago, and my mum over 20 years ago, and it wasn't a good childhood, and it took 20 years probably to heal my relationship with my mum. I loved her dearly, but she drove me crazy, but I still loved her. But in the end, I realized that there is only love in the end, no matter what has gone on. I would still love them to be here, no matter what happened. And they were, we all, our children probably say the same about us, they were wounded and this and that. But if you look in the end, love is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what has happened, after, when you realize this is it, they're not here anymore, they're still going on, but they're not with us anymore. The other stuff it's not as big, and you're going to take that with you. They've had to deal with their stuff, but you're going to take the anger and the resentment with you. In the end, it doesn't matter whatever's happened. And I can't really put it all into words, but I felt it so deeply that nothing else matters in the end.
Yeah,
really.
It's all about the love that we create. It's about the way we learn to create that. And, there will be times where that might seem next to impossible. We understand that. And I want to welcome Pauline to the chat room. Oh, look, here we go. Thank you, Pauline. Pauline's a friend of mine here in Brisbane. Lovely lady. Love, love, love Pauline. Oh, Kerry says, can you see the comment from Kerry?
Oh, no, I can't. Sorry.
Okay. I've recently reframed how I react to my mum too, and it's made such a big difference. That's a really empowering choice, isn't it, Kerry?
Yeah,
was it quite difficult for you to do that in the beginning? And I love that word reframe, because that's what it is. So that's what I want to know from you now. How difficult was it for you? And were there any kind of steps in your process that you repeated or focused on that you felt has helped you? So we'll wait to hear back from Kerry about that.
I'd like to ask also, Kerry, could she see a different viewpoint? Was there a voice sort of saying to her, when you're angry, you can see, well, this is this way. But then was there a little voice saying to you, but look at this, in the way, did that help her reframe? Because that's her higher self trying to help her.
Yeah. Now, Kerry's written back. Sorry, Beth.
No. I was just going to say, in a minute, we'll
did it again.
Sorry,
Beth. Okay, zipperoonie till you tell me.
After this, we might do the higher self meditation to help you, help everyone connect. This is just one way. There are many ways, but this is just one way I thought we'd do today.
Okie dokie. Thank you to Beth. Kerry says, very difficult. I actually got some help on where to begin. What an empowering choice, Kerry. What an incredibly empowering choice. And it's those choices, because that ties back to what we were saying before and speaking about. It's those choices that begin to open up doors that may have been staring us in the face the whole time, or they may have felt like they've been hidden from view for a long time. But either way, it begins to open that up for us, doesn't it? Kerry, I want to congratulate you, because I think that is a wonderful sharing for a start. What kind of help did you get, if you don't mind my asking? I actually had a very traumatic experience when I was young and never thought I'd be able to talk to her about it. Bless you, Kerry. My approach was to ask her what her experience as a mother was, and it opened up floodgates for both her and I. There you go. Asking the question, what was your experience, Mum, as a mother? Because when we have children ourselves, and I would like to hear from this as we go along from you guys as well, and then we'll go to your meditation, to Beth. It's not easy being a parent. You think it's going to be easy. You think you've got all the answers until you become a parent yourself, right? And then you begin to discover it's a much bigger job than you would ever have dreamed. It's a much more beautiful experience, but it's also a far greater challenge than I was ever prepared for. And my first mothering experience came when I was 18. I had my son when I was 18, and then my third child when I was 27. So I kind of went through, these different phases, and I could see myself as a mother in very different ways. I was ill prepared at 18, I can tell you, and in some ways equally ill prepared at 27. However, everything gave me an opportunity to Beth. Kerry, that is a beautiful sharing, opening up the communication is all. And, it's a very courageous choice, really.
Well, just the fact that you've chosen to ask for help, that's a thing, because sometimes when you're in a hole, you can't see the way out, and asking for help is showing vulnerability, but also strength. And that's one of the things, the higher self, being strong, resilient. And and look at what happens after that when we ask for help. And so somewhere there were whispers in there, I would say, and you heard them on some level. And so you chose to take action, which is great. So yes, definitely, it's a big part of it, for sure. So just before we go to the meditation, one other aspect that can happen when you connect more fully to your higher self is you start remembering other lives as well, which is really interesting. And that takes on a whole nother level of understanding the self, and all the situations and actions of all your lives which make up you. So that is certainly, I know I've had that, it's certainly in my life. And it's another level of learning amongst all this as well, and self-responsibility. People probably get the wrong idea about karma. They make it too simplistic, but yeah, that's certainly another aspect that can open up when you start connecting to your higher self, and looking at life from a much greater perspective. So yeah. So I think before the show gets too far into everything, we will start the meditation. So what I'd like to do with meditation, like, you can do quick ones, but the more that you can relax the mind and certainly relax the body, you will go much deeper into a meditation, into where you need to go. And the more you practice that, then at times when you don't have as much time, it's like a muscle memory. You'll remember how to relax more quickly and easily. So taking the time when you can to do the breath and do the body relaxation will certainly take you deeper and deeper, and give a greater experience. So I thought I would start with that. So I hope everyone can just sit back and relax, get comfortable in your chair, but don't, if you can sit up, but be relaxed at the same time, and making sure that you're going to be undisturbed for a few minutes. It's not a long meditation. Yeah. And so just closing your eyes now and starting to focus inward, just slowing everything down. Just take 3 sort of slow, full breaths in and out. Let the out breaths be like a real letting go kind of breath. That's it. Now just allow your breath to get into just a gentle and relaxed rhythm, without forcing anything, just turning your mind inward. We're going to focus on your body now. We're going to bring attention to each part of your body and invite it to release and relax, letting go easily and comfortably. Now, starting at the top of your head and scalp and forehead, just relax any tension you feel there. Just letting go. Allow them to feel soft and at ease. Now bring your attention to your shoulders and your neck and your muscles there. Releasing, letting go, and becoming soft and supple. Now bring your attention to your chest area, inviting your heart and your lungs to relax. Feel any muscles around them. If there's any tension, just release them, releasing any tightness. Now focus on the muscles in your back and your shoulder blades. Feel them now and relax. Letting go. We're going to invite your lower abdominal muscles, organs to relax and let go. Moving down to your thighs and your legs, relaxing and feeling at ease. And bringing your attention to your hands and your feet. Let go and loosen. In every part of you, your whole body is becoming more relaxed with every breath and every moment. Just let it happen. Releasing, letting go, relaxing even more now. Now feeling a warm wave, your relaxation rolling down from the top of your body, your head, right down to the bottom of your feet, to the tip of your toes. The whole body is now feeling more at ease and at ease. Now just imagine you've gotten up from your chair and you're stepping out of your room onto a path leading along an alpine field. Towering behind you, the snow-capped peaks of the surrounding mountains. The air is clean and fresh. It's late in the afternoon on a sunny day. The sky is a beautiful blue, with a few fluffy white clouds moving slowly along the horizon. Pine trees stand tall and stately to your right. And you just stop for a moment. Take a deep breath in, inhaling their fresh perfume. Your eye catches a glimpse of the shimmering of the leaves in the soft breeze. You notice there's a path sloping downwards that's recently been cleared. Pine needles are brushed aside, and you feel sure-footed and secure as you walk along the path, leading to the direction of the field ahead. And as you reach the edge of the line of trees, you see a comfortable looking bench beside the path between two big pine trees. You sit down and lean back. The bench is made of a rough wood, but you still find it very comfortable and relaxing to sit on. You look around you, see the field below you with its breathtaking carpet of wildflower. spread out the ones of the red, the white, yellow and pink with the flashes of green. This deepens your feeling of peace. You're conscious just for a moment of inhaling the energy, the life force that's in the fresh mountain air. And now, you just take a
Oh, everyone, I'm sorry. I was so caught up in the meditation. I didn't realize that Tibet had dropped out. So wherever you are in your meditation now, just allow yourself to begin your journey back. Come back, and I'll ask Tibet to record this one separately so you can come back just for the meditation, bringing all that peace with you and all the love and joy, the calm and the gentleness, because all of that came from within you. And so therefore, it's all yours from you and your beautiful connection. And feel yourself where you're sitting and allow yourself to begin to move just slightly in your hands and your feet, your arms and your legs. And gently move your head from side to side. And welcome back. I was so captivated in that peaceful place. I didn't even realize that Tibet wasn't with us at first. So everyone, I want to thank you for joining us on Angel Heart Radio. And if you have any questions or comments that this may have brought up for you today, in the days to follow, and in the next couple of weeks, please come back to this link on the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page and add them, because your comments actually mean a lot to us, but they also matter to others. And as we found with the beautiful sharing from Kerry, it really began to open up the conversation for us as well and met something personal for each of us. So Tibet will be back this time again in 2 weeks. So I suspect she may be back next Monday as well with this meditation, if not beforehand. That's Monday in Australia, which will be Sunday in the USA. So happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Remember the love that you are in truth, the beauty that you already are, regardless of what you see in the mirror. because that too is a journey, right? It takes time to learn to love ourselves, and it's time well spent. Take good care of you, everyone. Carol Ann and I will be with you as usual this coming Wednesday in the USA, Thursday here in Australia, 8 p.m. Central, 11:30 a.m. Brisbane, sorry, 8:30 p.m. Central, which is 11:30 a.m. Brisbane, Australia. Man, oh man, do we have a really cool guest for you. You're going to love who we bring you this week. So tune in for that. We look forward to sharing some more time with you. Thanks, everyone. Take very good care of you. Thanks for being present, and please be kind to you. Really love you and look after you because you matter in the world. Lots of love. Bye.